All right, sorry about that, guys. So we're good on the Google Hangout. Okay.
And I'm going to open up the PDF. And now your screen should have the PDF showing. So the first slide is what is VAN and where did we get this data? So we're just gonna go over, if you've got any questions after the webinar, then feel free to contact your regional lead or email Priscilla at pmartinez@battlegroundtexas.com. So the first slide is what is VAN? The VAN stands for the Voter Activation Network. It is the democratic database where we store the complete voter file. It's consistently updated through multiple channels, including scores, vote history, district assignments, phone services, printing services, and many other tools that a campaign would need for voter contact and voter analysis. The VAN is only available to Democrats. So Democratic activists can access VAN through a regional lead, and Democratic candidates must purchase VAN through the website. It's our Texas Democratic Party website, and there's a link to that form on this slide. So if you know anyone that is running for office that wants to run a field operation or needs a voter list, this is the best voter file for a Democrat to use, and the party provides it. Our data comes mostly from the voter registration cards and the rolls that the SOS puts out. So we pull everything except for ID numbers, phone numbers, emails, if those are applicable, and race. We do have secret ballots in Texas, so race can't be pulled off of the card. We use the likely ethnicity model that was created by the DNC for states that are affected by the Voting Rights Act and have secret ballots. The data update procedure is pretty straightforward. The state party works with VAN directly to update the voter file with elections and GOTV in mind. Your GOTV lists should be the maximum amount of registered voters that will be allowed to vote in the upcoming election. We typically request the file the day after the deadline so that county elections administrators can enter in all of that data, get it into the team system, and then the SOS will export as a full roll, and we compile that in-house and send it up to VAN to upload into the VAN. Phone numbers are not something that we pull off of the voter file. We contract through a vendor, and the vendor purchases multiple different forms of phone numbers, does multiple kinds of matches, and provides the most likely phone number for that voter. Matches are imperfect, but without a matching program, we wouldn't have any phone numbers. So all of the work, if you were involved last cycle with all of the disconnecteds, all of the wrong numbers, all of those fax machines, every bad number gets purged from the system entirely. And that means that we have a higher likelihood of getting the right phone number for a voter the next time around. And all of those bad numbers will never be associated with that voter again. And if it's a disconnected, it wouldn't be associated, it should not be associated with another voter. We structure support for VAN in the form of a tree for efficiencies purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down, and you should see a little bit of what a tree looks like. Down at the bottom, you have your local administrators. On the party side, you have a county administrator, which is typically the county chair or a staffer for the county party. And on the battleground side, you have a regional lead who will take most of your data concerns. If those two entities can't answer that question, then those questions get pushed up to either the deputy at the state party or a state staffer from Battleground Texas, depending on what side you're reporting. And then anything that isn't able to be solved by a state staffer will be sent up to me as the state data director. And if I cannot solve the problem, then depending on the content of the problem, I'll send it to either the DNC or VAN support. The DNC works mainly with the voter file itself, and VAN deals with the coding of the database. So we have two forms of national support in case we need it. So the next slide is actually logging into VAN. So this is what Vote Builder will look like. You can access Van through texasvan.com or through votebuilder.com. Because we are in the state of Texas, Vote Builder will automatically take you to the Texas Van. And you can log in through either the Action ID if you choose to set up an Action ID, or the username and password that was given to you by your regional lead. Action ID links NGP to Van, and any of the other accounts that you have through the NGP Van system will be linked through one email address so that you can pull in information from all of your different entities of the NGP Van system. This will be streamlining our accounts creation and administration process, and the biggest changes will be coming very, very soon. After the November elections, we should be seeing a lot of changes to Action ID, so be on the lookout for that. And if you do get a red access denied message at the top of the screen, this means that your username and your password was incorrect, and that you need to either have a password reset, or you need to click on Forgot Your Password and reset your own password. If you're getting an error code when you log in, but you're able to get past the username password, that means that there is a system-wide error and it is already being worked on by Van support. Once something is being worked on by Van support, sending multiple support requests does not speed that process up. It requires the Van support team and Van development to rewrite the code for the website and then relaunch it once it works again. And typically they can get that done very quickly. When you're creating accounts for people, it is very important to remember not to share your account with any other person. We strongly encourage having unique usernames and unique passwords for each user for three main reasons. We need record keeping so that we understand who is doing what in the Van. Each action is username stamped so that we know what has happened. And then on the security aspect of it, if something is problematic that happens, we use login information to research that problem, and we can roll back transactions in case something problematic happened. That's why we have the back end of Van. But every night Van syncs and some information will in fact be lost. So the sooner that we hear about a problem, or the sooner that we find out that an upload went wrong or that bad data was applied to a mass number of voters, the sooner we can fix that activity. And the real way that we can find it is by using login information. And then the integrity of your work, because when you're logged on and working, Van saves your work for you in My List. When someone else is able to log in as you, they're able to make edits to your work without you knowing immediately. So the lists that you are looking for might be gone if the person who is sharing your username didn't know that they were important. A big question everybody always asks is what data is shared in Van. So we have public data and we have private data. Private data includes your email addresses, your survey questions, and your private activist codes. Public data includes anything that's on the voter rolls, phone numbers, and public activist codes. So anything on the voter rolls would include a mailing address, a voting address, and a birth date, an age, a name, and suffixes. So there are two main challenges in working with Van. We need to make it easy to get information out of the Van, and we also need to make it easy to move data about voters back into the Van. So we're going to address a couple of those. We're going to address these two challenges and a couple of ways that we overcome those challenges here. Do we have any questions right now about the data update procedure?
Yeah, press 1, or you can also put your questions on the chat box, or if you want to email them to me directly, I can kind of say them out loud. So if you have any questions, just feel free as we're going along. It doesn't seem like we have any questions at the moment, so we can just keep going. Yeah.
Cool. So the first challenge is getting data from Van. So how can I see my voters? So this is a homepage of a user, and this is a pretty typical homepage of what you're going to end up seeing. The first tool that you want to use is Quick Lookup. Quick Lookup is how you can identify one individual voter. So Quick Lookup is in the top of your homepage. It's going to be in the middle of the page. It's the most efficient way to look up an individual voter and update their information, such as a phone number and an email address or an updated mailing address. So when you click on the Quick Lookup menu, you're going to see fields that say name, address, city, state, zip. And here is where you're going to search for voters. The van will match on all fields entered. So using information like last name, first name, city, and street address are all solid fields from match. I avoid using phone number and date of birth because these two items have been known to be incorrect on the file. Phone numbers could be incorrect because we might not have the phone number you have, and date of births might be incorrect because of the source of the file. Smart Name Technology will match a name like Mary when you enter the name Maria. So Smart Name Technology is a good way to pull all of your voters, and you can exclude all of your unregistered voters. There won't be very many unregistered voters in the Texas van, but that might change with voter registration and implementing the voter registration tab. So as you can see on the screen, we're searching for me. So I found myself, I found my address. This is all of my information. So if I wanted to update my information, I'd click on my name, which is in blue, and it'll pull me up to my voters profile. And you can see all of the information that the voter file has on me, any of the districts, my scores, people who also live in my household. And then moving forward, you would be able to see if you had canvassed me what I had said in response to your survey question. In this screen, we're updating my email address. So I scroll down to email, and then there's a blank where you can type in to a box an email address. I typed in my email address, clicked on Save New, and then clicked on the blue Save All box at the bottom right-hand corner so that all of my changes would be applied to my voters profile. Always remember to save your work. This is not like Google Drive where it saves for you. This is very much like Excel before autosave became a thing. There is no autosave in this database, so you must save everything. Quick Lookup is a really simple tool. Does anybody have any questions about how Quick Lookup works, when you should use it?
We're gonna give it a little bit of time since I know some people are listening and some people are watching on Google Hangout. So if you do have a question, press 1 on Maestro, or feel free to type it into the Google Hangout chat box. We're gonna give it a minute. Okay, it doesn't seem like anybody has any questions on Quick Lookup. So we're gonna keep moving right along.
Cool. So create a list is where you will be doing the majority of your work. This is what we call pulling lists from the database. So you should think of pulling lists as a two-part process. The first part is who is going to be in the list. The second part is what will you be doing with the list. So let's talk about the first part, who is in my list. The Create a List tool is a huge tool, and it's got many different headers and many different points that you can use in Van, like age, phone number, address type, vote history, multiple different other types of criteria. The Create a List tool has changed significantly over the last couple of years, so we're going to go over some of those changes. And the Create a List tool is in the middle of the page. It's there so that you know exactly where it is. It's always in your line of sight. So Create a List, My List, View My Folders, and Manage Turf are the 4 list building tools that we have in Van. And Create a New List is the most frequently used. So when you click on Create a New List, you're going to see Create a New Search up at the top. That does mean, in fact, that you're in the right place. A search is a dynamic list, and a fixed list is a fixed set of people, a result of a search. So these are the different headers. We've got activist codes, address types, addresses, age, registration date, applicant status, last emails, and it keeps going in alphabetical order all the way down to vote history. So on the right-hand side, you'll see a bunch of stars. The fields that you use the most often, you should click on this star. It'll turn the star gold and float that header to the top of your screen, so you're not always scrolling to the middle of your screen to look for location and location district. Over here on the right side, you're going to see all of your steps. This is going to tell you what steps you have in your search so that you know what kind of voters you have. Clicking preview my results will give you a count of how many voters are in your list, and clicking on run search will actually provide you the list of people. And when you click on run search, your current search will be applied to a fixed list of voters called My List. Anything that you want to do in Van needs to be in My List in order to be printed, exported, or sent to a virtual phone bank. Every time you click run search, you're going to get a little pop-up that looks something like this. It tells you that you need to overwrite your current version of My List. In order for you to do anything with the search you've just created, you will need to click OK on that. Once you click OK, you're going to have to decide what you're going to do with your list. You can either print out call lists or you can create a virtual phone bank. And so the first step is printing out call lists. So once you run your search, this is what you're going to see. You will need to click on the first button you see. It's the print button. It looks like an old school printer. The printing function can only print 5,000 people at a time. So if you've got a list of 6,000 people, that option is going to be grayed out, and that would be why the option is grayed out. So from here, we've got report formats, which tell Van what data to print. We have scripts that tell you what Van is printing. And we have contacted how, which is the type of contact that you are attempting. Phone is likely what will be your contact type. And you can rename your list for convenience so other people can find your printed list, and you can also find your printed list. You've got sort orders down here, which is how your voters will be sorted in order of priority. So the order can be sort by name, sort by street name, sort by street number, sort by last name. And so what you would get is all of the people in alphabetical order that are in this street on these numbers going up. So just think of it that way. Most of these report formats are going to be stock formats created for you with scripts that are created for you and should have automatic contact types. If you're having problems with your report format and printing, you should contact your regional lead, and they will tell you what kind of report format and script to use for the event that you're printing for. So down here, Battleground does in fact create generic scripts and report formats. So they have predetermined sort orders and contact types. So make sure that you get in touch with your regional lead. And if you need to change page breaks so that you can print on all one page, then just unclick the page breaks. Page breaks are where a new page will begin to print. So then if you end up printing turf, you can print driving directions. They source from Google Maps. It'll give you a map and turn-by-turn directions from your staging location to the beginning edge of your turf. Once you click on the blue next button, the van will create a PDF for you so that you can print from any printer. So once you click next, you're going to get an update that says your PDF is being created. If you have a large list, this will take a while. If you want to go directly to your PDF file, just click on the link in blue that says My PDF Files. And if you've got other things to do while you wait for your PDF to generate, then you can go ahead and do all of those other things. Going to your home page, you can find your PDF file on the upper left-hand side in your welcome box. You'll see My PDF Files. You'll click there. And your PDFs will live for a very short amount of time, either 24 or 48 hours. And printed lists have a number in the bottom left-hand corner that's associated with them. This is for data entry in grid view and for easily finding a list in the system. These list numbers expire after 30 days. So you have to enter your data within 30 days of that list being printed, or you won't be able to enter it using grid view. You'd have to use Quick Lookup to enter in all of that data. So save yourself some time in the long run and enter your data as soon as possible. Once you click on My PDFs, you've got two different options for downloading your file. You can either click on the blue link, and that will let you print from your internet browser. And if you need to download to your computer or to a flash drive to print from a separate location, just click on the little box and then click on Download Selected Files, and you'll be able to print from your actual computer or flash drive, whatever you need. And that's printing out lists. Just go down your call sheets. The script will print for each packet. You'll get one script for each packet. So you go through and you call each individual person, read your script, mark your answers, and then enter them back into grid view. Next, we're going to talk about the virtual phone bank. So we're going to go back to the My List option. So once you run your list, you see this list is now 19,000 people, so I can't print anymore. I'm going to set up a virtual phone bank by clicking on the phone and clicking Set Up Virtual Phone Bank List. So this is the screen that you'll see next. It's the new virtual phone bank. Here you can name and customize your virtual phone bank. You will select the fields that will be visible to the callers, the script that you want to use, and the numbers that you want to attempt, either all numbers, which I highly suggest, or not. I always select everything in the editable display because while you're on the phone with the voter, you can update their email, you can update their salutation, you can update their race, you can update their addresses if they give you that information on the phone, and you wouldn't have to take notes and then go back to their profile. The viewable display is district activist codes, survey responses, and early vote location, so that you can see a little bit about how that voter has dealt with other canvassers before. And you can also see where that person is going to be voting for early vote when we have an election coming up. You can change the availability of your phone bank based on the time of day if your lists are split by time period for calls to be made. I know in OFA world, if you had a full day of calls that you needed to make, over 65 was good for before 5 p.m. and under 65 was great for after 5 p.m. So you can change the availability so that folks would not be calling the wrong list if you're making lists for more than yourself. You can also put a contact limit on the call on the virtual phone bank so that when your callers have reached X number of successful contacts, the phone bank ends for them and they can leave. And that means that they've finished their shift. You can also make the phone bank's progress bar visible to the callers so that people know how far into the list you've actually called in this round. And you would do that by clicking on Show Entire Phone Bank Progress. If you have a large group of callers over a large geographic area, like if you're calling into all of Harris County, but you've got a bunch of folks in Harris County that are willing to make phone calls with you, then you would click on Distribute Voters by Zip Code, and each of the callers would enter in their zip code, and they would get voters that live nearest to them. You can attempt all of the alternate numbers, which I highly suggest, so that we can find the right number for the right voter. You can also show everyone that lives in the household so that if you get a person you're not expecting, you can very easily switch over to the person you actually are talking to. When we've got an election going on, you can exclude voters who have voted early or absentee. The data is updated by the state administrator, which is typically the data director for the Texas Democratic Party. They're done by one person, and only one person can apply early vote data in the state, and only one person can apply phone numbers in the state. We don't get election day data on election day, so there wouldn't really be much good in excluding anyone who voted on election day unless you were looking specifically for people who didn't vote. OpenVPB.com will publish your phone bank to a different website, and callers can call using an action ID. OpenVPB is not under the same umbrella. It is a VAN service, but it doesn't receive the same amount of TLC from VAN support. So sometimes OpenVPB will be a little bit buggier than regular VPB. You can share VPB to van users by scrolling down after you've saved your virtual phone bank and selecting your users from this right-hand column. Users without access are people who will not see the virtual phone bank. If you wanted to add a user, you would click on their name and click on add. The user that has access will appear in this left-hand box. So I have added myself, and I have given myself access to this virtual phone bank. And so you can also share your virtual phone bank by sharing the virtual phone bank code, which comes up after you've saved your virtual phone bank. This code will enable any user to access this virtual phone bank for you. So if you wanted to see the status of your virtual phone bank and look at the progress, you would go down to phone services, which is on the bottom left-hand side, and you'd click on that button or on that link that says phone services, and then you would select virtual phone bank. And when you select virtual phone bank, you're going to get the virtual phone bank you've created, the round that it's on, which is the pass, the number of voters that are in your virtual phone bank, the number of voters that were attempted, completed, canvassed, and the number of people who have voted, and then your start and end dates. And then you can click on report and you can get a report of how your phone bank did. This is how you can gauge your penetration through your universe and how many passes you've made over it. So does anyone have questions about printing or creating a virtual phone bank? Press 1 if you have a question about the virtual phone bank or printing.
We're going to give it a little bit more time to catch up with the Google Hangout with the. Cool. Okay, we have a question from Nancy. Nancy, I'm gonna unmute you. Nancy?
Okay, thanks. So, can we practice making the virtual phone banks, et cetera, without using them? Can we create one and then delete it, or?
Yeah, you can set it to expire too. The fact that it exists doesn't like limit what those voters can, what people can do with those voters. It's just a different tool. You can create as many as you'd like. There's no limit on virtual phone banks or lists that you can create. If you did get to a limit, I would be very surprised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So feel free to play around with it. You won't have any problems.
Yeah, the best thing that you can do is just pull all kinds of lists and see what kind of data is available to you. And then the thing I always tell people is to play around with it as much as possible.
Great. Okay, we're going to go to another question from Benin. Am I saying your name right, Benin?
Yes, Benin, yes, that is correct.
Great. Okay, awesome. So what is your question, Benin?
Yeah, I know you guys just said it, but I told you this because I was like shuffling and trying to get my laptop up.
Sure.
I started a phone bank like on Tuesday here in San Antonio. How do I go back? Like, say, can I go back to where I started? Like, not back where I started, but go back to where I left off. Is that something I can go back? I'm sure you guys told me to get that a second ago.
No, so the way that the list is in a specific order, and if you're the only person calling, then it should pick up right where you've left off. But if there are other people that are calling with you, it's going to pick up right where the other callers left off. So there should never be a voter who was not attempted in the virtual phone bank. And if they weren't contacted, then you can send the same virtual phone bank into round 2, and you don't have to pull a new list. And that sends you into your second pass of the universe.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you. Okay, great. All right, we're going to keep moving along into the next segment.
So I'm going to share my screen back. All right.
All right.
So We're going to talk about data entry really quickly. There are a few different options that we have for data entry. The first method is barcodes. It's incredibly efficient for entering data from printed lists this way. The challenges with the barcodes include the cost of printing the barcodes and actually obtaining the scanner for entering that data. I actually don't know how many vendors still sell barcode scanners that are compatible with the van.
Can I just say a caveat with that? So the barcodes, none of us in background Texas or volunteers really use them. As of that I found out, maybe some do, but I haven't encountered too many people that have. But before, that was a big thing that people use, and they really like it. Some people really like it because they think it's more efficient. So it just depends on where you are. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like where you are and what resources you have available to you. If you can print the barcodes and you have the money to print out actual barcodes, a lot of people in the valley still use barcodes.
Yeah, they really like them. Though.
Yeah,
So,
probably because they have some, at least our office had them. Yeah, it's
we
all
don't
like,
have any. That's the big reason.
Yeah.
We don't use them.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
The majority of your work is going to be done in GridView. GridView is the data entry person's data entry tool. So GridView will load up your list directly. We were talking about that list number in the bottom left-hand corner. That list number is going to live for 30 days. So entering a 31-day-old list number in these boxes will not work. Enter your list number and you'll come to the GridView screen where you select the script that you were using to call voters. You enter yourself as the canvasser or the person who was actually making the phone calls if it was not yourself, the date that the phone calls were made, you select your contact type, and then your sort orders are gonna be automatic. You can include notes and include follow-ups if you need to add notes from calls or if you need to remind yourself to follow up with another person and schedule a follow-up call. Once you've finished filling in all of those fields, you're going to get the grid view. And so you get 20 records per page, and this starts printing from the first page of your PDF. So this is going to be in alphabetical order. Always remember to save your work. Like I said, this is like Excel before autosave was a thing. So just remember to save often, save multiple times. The internet is a weird thing. Canvasser is gonna fill in for you once you start entering your data. A result would be the door result, and then the survey questions are down on the right-hand side. So make sure that you start on page 1 at the top of your printed lists, and if you don't have your lists in order, you can search with Van ID. Just type in the Van ID up at the top and then click on go. And when you do that, you're going to see that voter, and it'll be in the exact same order from the PDF from there. Remember, save. Also, pro tip, there is a mark remaining not home button in the bottom left-hand side. A lot of people see it and don't utilize it. It saves you hours of life if you just fill in your like weird not homes, like refused, Spanish, other language, those result types. And if you just fill in your contacts, then you can hit mark remaining not home and save yourself some time and watch like Grey's Anatomy or something instead of entering data. It's how I like to spend my nights. So we talked about creating a virtual phone bank, but we did not talk about using the virtual phone bank. So the virtual phone bank is essentially script view, but made better. So you get virtual phone bank by going to the home page and by clicking on virtual phone bank in the bottom right-hand corner. So your virtual phone banks that are shared with you will have names, and you can click on the boxes next to them to get to your phone bank, or you can enter in that VPB code that was up in the virtual phone bank. Once you're there, you're going to click on next, and you're going to get this message with every virtual phone bank. It just tells you to read the script, call each person, and fill in their responses as you go along. Click on next, and this is the screen that you're going to see. You're going to see your voter. These are the voters that are also in the household. This is the phone number. This is your script, and this is your result code. So if you were able to contact this voter, what you would do is say, "Hi, Olivia, my name is Jen, and I'm a volunteer with Adrienne Bell for Pearland City Council. And then you continue to go down the script, ask all of the survey questions. And then when you're finished talking to the voter, you'll click on Save Next Household. You'll see another voter on your screen in this exact same format. But what you won't see is the same voter, and all of your data is going to save. This voter will, all of that information is going to be marked as a contact in VAN, and they will not be put into round 2 if you choose to send your virtual phone bank into round 2. If you weren't able to reach Olivia, then what you would do is slide this white ball over to the no side and then select the reason you were unable to contact Olivia, be it a busy number or a disconnected number, or they just weren't home. Click on Save Next Household, and then you can continue on until the end of your list, and then the virtual phone bank will stop. When the virtual phone bank stops, you have ended your virtual phone bank and you've called through your entire list. You can then confer with your regional lead if they want you to do a second pass or if they want you to call a different list of people. So that is the basic data entry and pulling lists.
Yeah, that was pretty fast. So just some things to keep in mind that I kind of wanted to make sure to mention is, one is when you're pulling lists, it's more effective to talk to your regional lead before and brainstorm on what kind of list you want to pull to have a more effective virtual phone banks or have more effective phone banks in general. So for example, most of the time, when you're just starting out to organize in a particular region, you definitely want to start with your My Campaign and try to figure out who has been a volunteer in the past. My Campaign are people who are past volunteers. My voters are people who are, have voted in support of Democrats, or you can kind of pull the list on different kinds of ways. But for the most part, for now, your regional lead will recommend to use the actual My Campaign side of things. Also, another big caveat of things is that you can pull lists based, especially on My Campaign, you can pull lists based on people who have actually attended events before, that were fellows in the past, that were NTLs in the past. So we have all that labeled, and so make sure that you kind of get with your regional lead to not have to redo the work of trying to find new people, but just kind of get people started that were involved in the past. So that's a really cool way of easily getting new volunteers and organizing in your neighborhood. I think that is it. Those are my 2 caveats of how to do stuff, pull a really good list for your organizing efforts. If you have any more questions, feel free to press 1 now on Maestro, or put it into the chat box, or you can even email me your questions as we're finishing up. And I want to make sure that we can try to answer any last minute questions before we go. So press 1. Okay, we have a question from Sheila. Sheila, I'm unmuting you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. Well, I discovered a really cute trick about entering data after 30 days.
Okay.
Because I was told, oh, no, you can't do that. If you rerun the list, it will give you a different number, and you can use that number to enter your information if your phone bank runs over 30 days.
Oh.
Because the same names will come up. They may be just in a different order, but that's a little trick where you can use that after 30 days.
Awesome.
Yeah, that order type is why I suggest that people enter their data in during that time period that the list is alive, because if you enter in data for the wrong person, then yeah, but that is definitely a way that you can overcome that. You can also save the list as a saved fixed list in VAN and just run that as your PDF, and that way the order doesn't change and that list will live forever, or at least until your username becomes inactive. Great. Which hopefully will be never.
Will be never. Awesome. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for that comment. Anybody else that's joining us on the phone or watching us on the broadcast right now, press 1 or put your question in the chat box. we want to make sure we answer any last minute questions. Okay, doesn't seem like we have any. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I hope that you guys can spread the webinar and help your peers and other fellows and volunteers in making sure that people understand how to use VAN and they don't feel like it's super complicated and it's really hard to use because it's really is not. And so we're trying to make it as easy as possible for everyone to learn. So pass this along, pass the PDF, and make sure to let people know how to help each other out on this.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Jen, for joining us.
Thank you guys. Thanks for entering your data. Love you.
And you guys have a great night. And feel free to email me any last minute questions, but other than that, we'll see you guys in the next webinar. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.